Hello everyone, this is Christy with myscrapbookevolution.com, and in this video I'm going to share with you how you can make these easy watercolor paper sunflowers. You can use them to embellish your scrapbook pages or your DIY summer crafts. Before we get started crafting, I wanted to introduce you to some of my fellow YouTubers. I'm very excited to be a part of the Summer Craft Collaboration. These are just previews of a few people who are participating. Make sure you check out the links below so that you can visit all of the people who have summer craft inspiration for you on their YouTube channels.
Hi friends, Jennifer Priest here to lead you through how to make this bohemian stack bracelet during our summer fun craft collab. I hope you'll come over and visit my channel to see the full tutorial and get into jewelry making.
Hello, Nadine here, and I am super excited to be doing this collaboration with all these talented ladies. This is my first collaboration ever, and I will be sharing how to create these fun drink umbrellas that are perfect for any pool party or summer party. Hope you head on over to watch my video. See you soon!
Okay, so let's get started making our sunflower. You're going to need a piece of brown felt, a permanent marker, and a template. The template can be anything. If you don't have something in your house, look for a cup, a bowl, a bottle, something that will give you that circle shape. And don't worry too much about the permanent marker showing up on your project later. You're going to cut this out of the felt, and later on when we go to glue it onto the paper flower, you're simply going to be able to flip this piece of felt over and no one is going to see that black ink mark from your permanent marker. It just makes it so much easier to cut this out. Keep the template handy because you're going to need it in the next step. You'll be needing to grab a large piece of paper and you're going to just take that template, put it down in the center of the paper and mark a circle. You're then going to stamp around the edge of that circle and then stamp again. What's important here is that you're using a permanent ink. I'm using Colorbox Pigment Ink and Cocoa. I am letting the stamp fade just a little bit, and it's a text stamp. You can use any pattern that you like. I liked the text because it was very subtle. I'm just wanting to add subtle texture to my sunflower. I am now drawing in the petals. I'm using a watercolor pencil. It's going to sort of save me a little bit in the step later on. The watercolor pencil is optional. They do make watercolor crayons as well, but you can use just a regular pencil from around the house. I'm not also worrying about where that stamped image is. Sometimes it's fully within the petal that I'm drawing, and other times there is no stamped image there. That's okay. This is all part of the random, subtle design that I am trying to create. If you're worried about being an expert artist, don't. This is a very simple watercolor process. To try to get the flower to be realistic, I opened up images on Pinterest of sunflowers and sunflower crafts that I looked at throughout this process. And you'll see that I'm just scribbling with the darker orange towards the bottom center of the petal and a little bit on the outer edges. I'm then going to go back and fill this in with the yellow. Nothing is precise. All this is going to blend when I add water to it. And you just want to make sure you get all of the flowers and color it in. It's okay to color over the stamped image. It'll show through very slightly, and again, it's just that subtle texture that you want it to provide. You can use regular cardstock, but if you're concerned that the paper is going to buckle, you can use watercolor paper. I didn't use watercolor paper because it's a bit of an expense. You can see here that I'm just adding a little bit of water to those watercolor pencil colored petals, and it's blending in nicely together, both the orange and the yellow. Now I am noticing that this is a lighter color. It's not as bright as the sunflowers that I would want for summer. This is a craft that I had originally done before for the fall, And if I wanted to keep that sort of dried out kind of fall color, then this would be perfect for that. But it's just not vibrant enough. So I come back in with my watercolors in a brighter yellow and a brighter orange. I'm just letting them blend in on the petals. I'm trying again to keep that darker orange towards the bottom portion of the petal and the outer edges, with the brighter, lighter yellow color in the centers. The hard part is going to be having enough patience to let this dry before the next step. If you start the next step, which is to cut those petals out too early, you're going to find that you're going to tear the paper. As you work, whether you're doing the watercolor or whether you're going to be working on cutting those petals out, you're going to want to rotate the piece of cardstock. And once I let it dry, you can see that I'm cutting it out and I'm just kind of working in sections and rotating that paper. If something happens and it does rip, don't worry. Try to trim a little bit of the ripped edge away, but you can cover it in the next step. The wonderful thing about this is that you are left with what can be a stencil for other projects. You can also use this piece of paper as a stencil for additional sunflowers if you want to save a little bit of time. So you can see that I ripped that edge just a little bit there and I covered it with a petal. You're just going to glue the petals on top of that base all the way around. And you'll notice that I cut out that one base piece solid, and some of the petals I cut out individually. It's essential to have that solid base piece because that's what you're going to give the project stability with and add your center piece of felt. Just keep rotating the flower and layering those petals in. If you find that the flower isn't full enough, you can cut additional petals. And again, if you want something of a different size, it can easily be done. You can make smaller embellishments for your scrapbook pages, smaller embellishments for banners, larger embellishments for wreaths. Once everything's all together, you can embellish that felt center. This is purely optional. I put out a little bit of buttons, some sequins and beads from my supplies. In the end, I chose just a few of these copper colored sequins. I liked the way the copper kind of played off of the brown felt, gave it a little bit of shine, and I added just a sprinkling of these beads. I do like to use a very thin, narrow needle when I work with these glass seed beads. So a regular embroidery needle might be too thick. Try to find a very thin, sharp needle to work with. And just tie everything off and glue down your center, and your first sunflower is done. You can repeat the process as many times as you like, or simply keep it as a simple centerpiece.